What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to Philly with John Marks on PHLY. As always, presented by Bet Parks. I forgot that I hadn't styled my hair, and we were like 2 minutes from going live. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put on the Bet Parks hat because they're a proud sponsor of this program. And Central City Toyota, presented by Bet Parks and Central City Toyota. If you're a new viewer to the show, if you're not watching live, if you're watching live, as many people do every day, regardless, I hope you're subscribing. Smash the subscribe button because then you don't have a choice. You'll just see our videos and recommending everything that we do all the time. PHLY, our network, over the last couple of weeks has grown significantly. The number of new subscribers, the number of video views. So join the revolution. Subscribe, like, comment on the shows, whether it's good or bad. So shout out to everybody watching right now. Follow us on social media. I'm at John, Jon Marks, Marks Media, at John Marks Media. We're live on a Thursday morning as we march towards the NFC Championship Game coming up here on Sunday. I was thinking about this. We talked a little bit about it yesterday with Black Gritty. But then I was thinking about it again today because Dan Orlovsky is coming on with Ant today. Yeah. Very, very good get for Anthony. Dan Orlovsky on the Anthony Gargano show today. And so like every day my routine is I get home from work, like depending on the day, I got to pick up my daughter from nursery school or whatever. But so I'm on Twitter and I'm looking like, all right, like, oh, here's what they said on First Take. Here's what they said on this show. Here's what they said on that show. Here's what Dan Orlovsky said on Get Up. Here's what, and like every day it's a new analyst. Yesterday we played Chris Sims and his nonsense, but every day it seems like it's somebody new that has an opinion on the Eagles. And they don't really have an opinion on the Eagles because they do have an opinion on the Eagles. They love the Eagles. How could you not? Their defense is a top defense or the top defense, and they have a bunch of young players, young dominant players. Their offensive line is the best offensive line in football. Their wide receivers are amazing. Their tight end, Dallas Goedert, since you come back, you're like, you know what? You forget how good he is, how effective he is. And you have Saquon Barkley, who just ran for 2,000 yards. The conversation isn't about the Eagles. The conversation is about Jalen Hurts. Dan Orlovsky, who will be on with Anthony today, I'll be curious to see where the conversation or what the tone of the conversation is. Because it seems like that Dan kind of has this inner back and forth where he watches the Eagles play and be like, oh, man, this team's so great. Saquon Barkley. And if Jalen Hurts plays like this, then they're unstoppable and they're great. And then the next week it'll be like, oh, man, I don't know if the Eagles can win like this. Jalen Hurts, they got to be able to throw the ball more. The cut that we played from Chris Sims yesterday, at the end of the cut, he says, and you're going to be able to throw the ball better. Everything's about throwing the ball better. It's not about this. It's not about that. It's about Jalen friggin' Hurts, the quarterback, the passing quarterback. That's what it's about. All right? That's what it's all about. And the analysts, the Chris Sims, the Dan Orlovskys, and by the way, I don't think a player has to be a great player to have a great opinion or a good opinion or a bad opinion. Joe Montana was the best quarterback ever until Tom Brady. He literally walked off of the Super Bowl broadcast, I believe, because he was so bad at broadcasting, right? So one doesn't necessarily have to do with the other. I respect people that played at a high level. I respect Kurt Herbstreit, even though he didn't play in the NFL, but he was a high-level college quarterback. So it's something like you're never hearing me say, like, what does Dan Orlovsky know? He sucked in the NFL. No, Dan Orlovsky, Chris Sims, these guys played in the NFL. I have respect for their opinions. But it seems like to me when they watch Jalen Hurts play as a passer, because he's a quarterback, right? The first thing he's supposed to be able to do is throw the football, that they're like, wow, he's just not very good. The Eagles, through all the offensive coordinators they've had, the Eagles' offense isn't the West Coast offense. It's not a Sean McVay offense. It's the Jalen Hurts offense. This is the Jalen Hurts offense. This is a college offense. This isn't a complicated offense. I see people on Twitter breaking down the tape saying that, oh, well, like there's really nothing to the offense. There's no complexities. It's just kind of like very, very easy throws. You think that's because Kellen Moore it doesn't have more up his sleeve? Or is that a combination of, all right, Kellen Moore's a good coordinator, he's not Sean McVay, but the concepts are simple because they're running a college offense. They're running a college offense with Jalen Hurts. And here's why nobody should have a problem with it. And here's why Chris Sims and whoever else needs to get over it. It's effective. I would have never thought that the Eagles could win 14 regular season games and be in the NFC Championship game and be one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl or the favorite to win the Super Bowl the way that they're playing right now. I used to mock people that would say, run the football and play great defense, and you can win a Super Bowl without having elite level quarterback play. Oh, you can't run the ball to winning a Super Bowl. You can't run it. Once you get to the playoffs, teams are going to say, no, we're going to make you pass it. Until teams make the Eagles do that and they lose, I believe that they can win like this. Doesn't mean Jalen Hurts can play like crap. Doesn't mean that Jalen Hurts doesn't have to make big plays or doesn't have to have big drives. But this idea that you need Jalen Hurts to turn into a 330-yard passer where he's throwing the ball 40 times for the Eagles to win and for you to be satisfied, that's a you problem, not a we problem, not an Eagles problem, not a winning problem, not a Super Bowl problem. That's a you problem. Because as long as they win and they're proving to be effective doing that, if Jalen Hurts has to be a part of the running game, and we're not talking about 70-yard runs, we're not talking about Lamar Jackson type runs. Jalen had a great 44-yard run for the touchdown, right? And he can do those kind of things. He's also in the running game getting chunks, 6 yards, 7 yards, read option, get 7 yards, slide to not take a hit. He's almost like another running back out there. They don't operate getting rushing yards or running yards from the quarterback in scrambles as they do, but also they're doing it in called plays. And it's being effective. I know it's not supposed to be effective like this. That's what I've been told my whole life, and that's what I've repeated. It's effective. And it's working. Josh Allen's not throwing the ball a whole heck of a lot. He threw for 127 yards, and they won. Teams aren't throwing the ball like they once did. They're not. There's been a little bit of shift in the NFL. So, again, I know the analysts, and I know a lot of people nationally don't believe in Hurts as a passer. That's fine. I may not either, right? I believe in Jalen Hurts, the quarterback, and I believe in this team because what they're doing is effective. And if they continue to win, they beat Washington, regardless of what happens in the Super Bowl. Being in 2 Super Bowls in 3 years with the same quarterback, albeit getting there in different ways, I don't want to hear the conversation anymore. It's exhausting. Being an Eagles fan is exhausting right now, Tyler Zulli, as we welcome you in here. Can't wait to hear Dan on Anthony's show today. He knows he's talking to a Philadelphia audience. And by the way, like Dan's not a guy that is a flip-flopper to where like I think that he's trying to play both sides, or it just seems like to me a lot like a fan, he's kind of on the roller coaster of, man, like the Eagles can win like this. Jalen Hurts had a really good game. And then when he doesn't play well or the passing game looks bad, then he's like, man, I don't think they can win like this. Like Jalen, it's like it's not fancy. It's effective. And it's working, Tyler Zulli. Good morning.
Effective's a great word to use. Good morning to you as well. I think that this is a team that has won a lot in the last couple of years. Now you take away the end of last season because they were, I think, detrimental to their own success. They were their own demise last year. Schematically they were bad. I thought that, offensively they were bland. Defensively they weren't good. Last year they were their own demise, but you're talking about a team now that is 60 football minutes away from going to a second Super Bowl in 3 years and in doing it in different ways. Because if you think about the 2022 team, Jalen Hurts was excellent in 2022. I think we can all agree amongst his professional career, 2022 was by far the best season of Jalen Hurts' career, correct?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Without question. His best career. He was decisive. He was accurate. He was poised. He was all of those things in the pocket outside of it that you wanted him to be. And he took a meteoric step from 21 to 22. It was his best year. This year, they do it a little differently. This year, they run the rock. This year, they're the number 1 ranked defense in football. This year, they have a secondary that plays with tenacity. They have a linebacking core, now sans Nakobe Dean, but I thought Oren Burks was decent enough in the game against the Rams. They have a linebacking core led by Zach Bond that's played well, a front four that is opportunistic because their rush rate success, like their pass rush rate success, is okay. But they get timely sacks. Jalen Carter with a timely sack. Nolan Smith with a timely sack, throughout the playoffs. They're winning differently, but they're winning. And to me, when it comes down to it, that's what matters. That's what matters in the NFL, especially at this time of the year. They're one of the final 4 teams left. They have a really strong opportunity in front of them to be one of the final 2 teams left and to play for a second Super Bowl in 3 years. If you strip away names and numbers and stats, and you just said your team's going to have a chance to play for a second Super Bowl in 3 years, every fan in the world would sign up for that.
Yep. For sure. I can't wait to see, because if they win, we're going to get more of this where it's like, oh, I don't know. Can they beat the Bills or the Chiefs with Jalen Hurts not throwing the ball? And this it's like the same thing all over. Then they win the Super Bowl, and then will it become, yes, you can do that, or will it be all over again? Who the hell knows? And
that's why I asked you, I forget if it was Monday or Tuesday, it was earlier this week. That's why I asked you a simple question with a really complicated answer. What if they just keep winning?
Yep.
What if they just keep winning? Is at some point, are we going to go, oh, yeah, that's right, they won the Super Bowl? You know what I mean? If that were to transpire, right? This is a successful season. Now, you're the favorite in Sunday's game. I expect this team to win. I don't think it's going to be this cakewalk game, right? Washington has played really, really well over the last couple of weeks. They're rolling right now, but I do expect them to win this game. They are the better team. Sans the quarterback position. Jayden Daniels is having a better year than Jalen Hurts is. But with that being said, you have an opportunity at hand to continue to win football games. And what if they just continue to win football games?
No. Our headline segment that we do on the program brought to you by Glatt Hair Restoration. It's not just about restoration, it's about innovation. And I have the hat on today, but you can see it. Go to glattmctr.com, Glatt, GLATMCTR.com. 610-980-4000. Let's do this. Tyler's going to give us a Flyers update coming up in a second. Later on in the show, very interesting comments from Brian Windhorst on Joel Embiid. So we'll do that. Glenn Foley's coming up at 8:25. He's been joining us every week. Former Jet quarterback, pride of Cherry Hill East, Boston College. And I'll just say this. Glenn is very bullish on the Eagles. Very confident. At least he was on Tuesday. I'm like, all right, save it for Thursday morning. The G Foles in your eye holes coming up in about 10 minutes from now. Stay tuned for that. But so it's snowing down in so when the Eagles are in a conference championship game, when they've made it this far in the playoffs, I remember back in like 2002, 2004, I wasn't around in 2003, but they would have the pep rallies at City Hall during lunch at 12 o'clock. You would have everybody that would come from the buildings, and I go to the pep rallies. I did it all right. So like Eagles fans everywhere are getting all yoked up. So let's send it down to New Orleans. Not New Orleans. New Orleans, by the way, the Super Bowl will be there in a couple weeks. And this is Fox 8 News. So New Orleans is like market 50 or something like that. I know that's what it is in radio. So they're a mid-market. They're not a major market. And listen, local news, even in the big markets, ain't all that good. With all due respect to, like, it's not that it's not a shot at the reporters, but when it's snowing out and you send Pat Gowan the Wawa in Collegeville and he's talking to people, it's like, it's not exactly riveting. You know what it's like? It's like watching the Mummers Parade. It's just like you watch it because it's so bad it's good, I guess. I don't know. So here's this schmucko down in New Orleans interviewing somebody on the street because it's snowing. It was snowing in Sarasota, Florida. It's snowing in New Orleans, like accumulating snow. This never happens. So here's Fox 8 News.
Just talk about just being out here in the snow. What's it like? It's a beautiful day, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of crazy. I had to come just see all the beauty.
Are you from New Orleans?
I'm not. I grew up in Pennsylvania, so I was raised with this stuff.
Yeah, and seeing snow like this and snow accumulate.
It's crazy. I mean, I've been here almost 15 years, certainly never seen it since then.
So far, you can pause it real fast.
Something else.
So far, riveting conversation. All right, go ahead, continue.
And so, I mean, it's something else.
Any advice? I mean,
I had no idea what the
grew
question
up north. Any advice for people down south dealing with this?
Stay inside. Stay warm. Also, go Birds. Go Birds. We'll see y'all in February.
There you go. Go Birds. And then the reporters shouted out, I guess some people back at the studio were also Eagles fans. So everybody's out these days, which brought me back to 2019. It was January 3rd, 2019. It was before the double doink game against the Bears. This is leading into it. He doesn't say go Birds, but in my head, he does say go Birds. So what happens when you get arrested for burglarizing the Guitar Center and you're being led away in handcuffs and a news camera and reporter comes up to you? Of course, you shout out the Eagles before a playoff game. Here's how.
Is there anything you want to say?
Go Eagles.
For that quarter of a second in his head, you could see it in his face. He thought about it. And he said, go Eagles.
My man thought about virality. That's what he thought about. He goes, I'm going to be internet famous. That's what we're doing today.
So anyway, I went, this is how weird I am. So now like I look, I'm reading the story and I'm like, oh, let me see if like this guy's in prison right now or whatever. And I Google him. He actually died in May of this year. I'm reading his obituary. Dale Sauerbeck of Pittston, PA. Dale, he loved fishing. There you go. But also, he was a diehard Eagles fan. So rest in peace, Dale, man. I was not expecting to see that. But yeah, so like, yeah, everybody's out. But the mayor, if asked to do the Eagles chant, would she be able to do it today? I don't know the answer to this. Maybe people in the chat can chime in, or maybe you know, Tyler. Has she had fun with this afterwards, or has she acted like it didn't happen and is very tight-assed about it?
You have to own up to you. Be like, yeah, I screwed up. I messed up. My bad. You know, make a shirt out of it that says ELGLES or something like that. You have to play into it.
Yeah, I actually had some shirts made. There's been a long line. We used to, on Marks and Reese show, at the end of the show on a football Friday, Jack kept accumulating more people that would say the Eagle chant incorrectly. Because Trent Cole, the players don't know it. Trent Cole at the stadium for the pregame show, they sing the song, and he didn't know I don't think Randall knew it. He might have. I think he knew how to spell it, but he didn't know the song.
I think Jalen Hurts didn't when they won the NFC Championship game a couple years ago. I don't think he knew it either.
Right.
Which, listen, I'm not expecting you to. Like, if you're here long enough, if you're Brandon Graham,
knows it. Yes.
Like Brandon Graham's going to know it, right? You know, if you're here a couple of years, I get it. There's a difference between not knowing the fight song because it's a minute long song, and not properly being able to do EAGLES.
Trent Cole had. They might have just had him try to do it without the song. You have to do the songs. It's easier to go into it, right? And you have to lead it. Like I always criticize Glenn Mack now because Dick Vermeil had no idea what was going on with it, and here's why. But I remember going to games as a teenager, and then like when Jeffrey Lurie took over the team was when the Fly Eagles Fly came like back when the song became a thing. There was the Eagle chant, yes. There was no Fly Eagles Fly. I didn't know the song until probably, like I said, Jeffrey Lurie. That wasn't a thing with Norman Brayman. That wasn't a big thing. Nobody was yelling singing the song like now everybody universally knows. That wasn't a thing. But it's important when you do the chant because you need to get somebody on the same page. You need to start with the long E. You can't just go, all right, we'll do the Eagle chant. EAGLES Eagles. You need to go E.
All right, so
GLES Eagles.
Here's an update. This one from your former employer at WIP. They said that Philadelphia Mayor Sherelle Parker says she's happy she's never promised perfection, quote, especially after I couldn't spell Eagles right.
Good for you, Ms. Mayor. Good for you. Got to have fun with it. Got to be self-deprecating. So, yeah, so there was, I can't even tell you how many people don't know how to spell it. But Chuck from Mount Airy, one of our callers, spelled it, and I think he was a little sauced up. He spelled it EAEELES Eagles. So we heard it live, and it's like I don't think you spelled it correctly. So, yep, add it to the list of people that can do it. All right, Glenn Foley. G Foles in your eye holes. is coming up here. We'll talk about the game. He's pumped. We'll see if he's calmed down a little bit since I last texted with him. Glenn Foley coming up right after this. Don't go anywhere, Philly. Back in 2-2, as Chuck Woolery once said. Listen, when we talk about glatt hair restoration, which I do often, early and often, I just put out a video. My girl over at Glatt Hair, she put together like a collage of all of us talking about glatt hair restoration. Devon, me, some other people as well. And they're the experts in the industry. They're the best in the business when it comes to hair restoration. And when it comes to your hair, right? So if you're thinning, if you're balding, if you're shedding, a lot of females now are realizing like, hey, this is something that they can help me with. What do you do if you're a female and you're losing your hair? Guys can shave their head and it's a good look. Like, what do you care? Looks great. I mean, you can definitely keep your hair, but like some people just shave their head. They don't care. But with women, what do? A lot of women don't want to shave their head. Glatt hair restoration. We talk about hair restoration. Yes, it's great. My results are amazing. But what if you're not ready for that? Or maybe your hair's not ready for it, right? Like maybe it makes more sense for some of their other options of what they have, right? And that's why you contact Glatt Hair Restoration at 610-980-4000. 610-980-4000. There's non-invasive treatments that get you real results. There's vitamin supplementation these days, which is all the rage, and it's legit. It's not the sprays that you see on Instagram. PRP and stem cell restoration, which has been very effective for a long time now. Each patient receives a complimentary one-on-one consultation. That's right, 610-980-4000, glatthairmctr.com, G-L-A-T, hairmctr.com. Hoo-ah! All right, TrueMark, the green light app at TrueMark. If you have kids and you're saying like, hey, well, you know what, we don't have a bank account, but we want a little bit more than a bank account, right? Like, all right, having a savings account is cool. This is what I'm talking about at TrueMark Financial, and it's free if you're a TrueMark customer like me. I have my business checking account there. They're amazing. Mary Ellen, the staff at the Trooper Road Audubon location is amazing, right? But TrueMark Financial offering this account right here as well. Also right now, 0 interest on balance transfers for 12 months. So you know what happens when you know what happens after the holidays when you put a lot of presents on your credit cards? Now you got to pay them. That's not what I do. If you had any idea how much money I have going from 0% to 0% to 0%, it's kind of scary, but I'm not paying interest. 12 months, all your payments go towards reducing your balance, not covering the interest. Transfer your existing balance from another institution to TrueMark Financial Visa credit card to take advantage of this amazing offer. You got to get in by February 28th. Whether you're interested in earning rewards, cash back, or simply preferring a low rate for everyday purchases, TrueMark Financial can choose the credit card that best fits your financial needs. TrueMark.com/compare for full details and to apply today. TrueMark Financial, federally insured by the NCUA, equal opportunity lender. Terms and conditions apply. All loans subject to approval. 3% balance transfer fee applies. Standard rates apply after the promotional period. There we go. Hoo-ah. All right, well, Glenn Foley's going to join us here, and we're going into the locker room for this segment right here with Glenn Foley. And when we go into the locker room, as always, it's sponsored by Valley Forge Tourism. That's right, winter weekend getaways and family-friendly affordability await in Valley Forge in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. So much to offer, like must-see historical sites, tons of family attractions, and a vibrant art scene, outdoor activities, shopping, dining, and more, and just 18 miles from downtown Philadelphia. So, by the time you hit February and it's like, God, we've done everything so far. What else can we do? Check out some of the historical sites. Valley Forge, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania is amazing. ValleyForge.org can help you discover hidden gems, endless activities, and tons of places to stay in Montco. Get started planning that next getaway today. ValleyForge.org. Make it family time and make it Montco. As a lot of people will say, Montco, as I grew up in Montco. Glenn Foley joins us, former Jet and Seahawks quarterback, the pride of Cherry Hill East and Boston College. And he's got the throwback Eagles hat on today. G. Foles, what's up, brother?
Yeah, I thought you were from Delco, Marcy, but that the hat was bought at Live at Larry's, the tailgate. The guy that I bought it from was actually stealing the liquor from. He had a whole bunch of hats. He was stealing the liquor from the tailgate. So
is that contraband or is that officially licensed? That hat?
Just no way. This is officially licensed. This is total contraband. This guy, the guy who sold it to me. He looked like he had spent the night in the clink, but no. Come on, look how shady that eagle is.
Now, did you pay? Did you pay cash at Larry's tailgate? Did you pay cash for the hat?
20 cash and
20
$20 for the hat, and the guy was he was drinking the bottle of it was an old bottle. They put out this huge table of old bottles of liquor that people just leave behind. But yeah, he was swinging each bottle of liquor, and I was like, "Hey man, how much is that?" He was $20. Like, give me one. Give him $20. He kept drinking, and then me and the Weeze did the show. We had a good show down.
We didn't talk about it last week. How was the show with the Weasel live at Larry's tailgate? And will there be a second show? Is what all the people are asking.
Yeah, the people they loved it. The people of course, the technology was awful, but it looked like a bird's nest on the side of the van, but the wires and everything got all messed up. But we did spit out some quality content. Larry was interviewed, but the food was unbelievable. I mean, he came out late with meatballs and ribs and pizza, Vito's pizza, but technologically we need a little bit of work, but the whole idea and as we move, we actually met some people down there who can help us with the camera, so it's going to work. It's just a matter of when. Yeah,
I mean, they're there for you. You could scrap all the wires and stuff, and you could just talk to everybody and tell stories, and everybody would be happy.
Well, I'm thinking after all this, just bring the iPad down there. I don't know what you told the wires.
Yeah, we could honestly do it. You could do it like this. Doesn't matter. You don't need all those. You don't need all that crap. No, is this the Weasel's idea to have all these wires and stuff?
He's testing technology, and I basically wanted to take a big pair of scissors and just start cutting wires. But no, I said let's try it with the iPads. The iPads work great. These new iPads are tremendous.
They are. All right, G Falls, you were texting me earlier this week, and I mean, man, you were all jacked up about the Eagles. I'm wondering if you've calmed down since then. It's a Thursday. It's tough to take a lot from the second half of that game because of the blizzard. But I leave the Eagles-Rams game saying, like, yeah, Eagles are the better team. The Eagles won. Eagles are favored against the Commanders. They deserve to be. I don't feel any worse about the Eagles heading into the NFC Championship game because of the first two games in the playoffs. But how do you overall feel about what you saw against the Rams and then looking ahead here to the NFC Championship game?
No, I wanted to see just a stomping. I just think the Eagles are so good that they should be stomping these people at home, and they didn't. If you look back, they let up 400 yards. Now a lot of it is the way the game progressed, but this was not a thrashing. I mean, and I didn't think it would be, but I just saw too many weaknesses within the Eagles defense. Now, this week scares me because you have a young quarterback coming in that can basically, he's unpredictable, so he can do anything. But I thought I'd get a little more dominating performance out of the Eagles defense. The Eagles defense, they let up 400 yards. So if that happens this week, you're going to get a loss.
A lot of those yards were on those last two drives, and the last time they played the Commanders, they scored 22 points in the fourth quarter. It was reminiscent of that game when you were just watching them systematically marching down the field. Is Vic Fangio playing too soft in those situations? Because, I mean, this has been talked about for decades. When you play the prevent defense, this can happen. And they scored a touchdown in 2 minutes. Saquon Barkley runs for that touchdown. I'm screaming, one win from the Super Bowl. The Rams marched right down the field, and now they're only down by 6. And every Eagles fan's thinking the same thing. Holy crap, they're going to go 3 and out, give the ball back to the Rams, and they're going to score, and the game's going to be over. What's Fangio doing? What's the deal?
Well, the toughest part, I said this, I did coach 1 year at the Valley Forge Military Academy. He did the Valley Forge, this is the Valley Forge locker room report. We went undefeated. The toughest call to make when you're up in a football game is when do you put the brakes on, and when do you go to the prevent. So that's the hardest thing to do. Okay, you go to the prevent, but when you're looking back at the stats, the Eagles controlled the game with their running game. Almost 300 yards rushing is an insane stat when you're talking about NFL football. So in the back of Fangio's mind, he's saying, okay, even if they do score, we're going to smash them with the run, and we're going to march down the field, and we're going to win the football game. That's their MO. It may change this week. The Commanders are a little different in terms of their defense. They're going to give you a little bit of pass, so it's going to be up to Hurts and the wide receivers to do a little more work this week. I don't think you can just tee off from the run and smash the run this week. So we're going to see A.J. Brown not reading books. He came up with one or two catches this week. So
again, yeah,
yes, but that's not because A.J. Brown can't play. That's just what is the defense giving you, and the fact that they're so good running the ball. Why do anything else? I mean, we're almost going. The NFL is almost turning into Army Navy in terms of the way it's being run. This week you could ultimately get 200-300 yards rushing from the quarterback position this week.
So the question that everybody's asking now, or the opinions of a lot of these analysts, are the Eagles can't win with Jalen Hurts in the passing offense because you can't actually criticize the Eagles. But the defense didn't look great in those last two drives, but the defense was the number one defense. Their offensive line's the best in the league. Saquon Barkley is unbelievable. Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown are great. So it's really any time that there's any discussion about the Eagles and whether they can win or not, it's about the quarterback. It's about Jalen Hurts. Do you have confidence in Jalen Hurts? Can they win? We keep saying they can't continue to play like this and win, but yet they keep winning. Is this something you can win a Super Bowl playing like this?
No, whoever's saying that's stupid, because why would you change something that's working? If you're rushing for 300 yards in the NFL, you're an idiot to throw the football. Why would you throw the football? Now, this is where Howie and the management has done such a great job. If you do have to throw it, you got two guys that can't be covered. So, someone's going to stack the box. Someone's going to make. And it may happen this week. They may just stack the box, blitz every down, and make them complete passes. I would have done it last week and just completely made him throw it because the conditions dictated that. If you saw poor Lamar to Andrews, that ball is a frozen football. So that ball is incomplete because he just threw a volcanic rock at the guy. So it's just harder to handle a football in those kind of conditions. So it's supposed to be warmer this week, but if you get bad conditions, I'm making Jalen Hurts. I'm cover zero, blitzing everybody and making him hit, drop, throw, complete the ball, as opposed to having him RPO you to death with Saquon running for 200 yards. That's just slow death.
I've seen a lot of fans complaining about Kellen Moore as an offensive coordinator, the actual offense, the play calling. There's a chance he gets the Dallas job. I've seen a lot of people saying, like, good, take the Dallas job. How do you evaluate Kellen Moore and how he's done as an offensive coordinator this year?
I've always said this. When someone said, hey, what's your system? What do you run as an offense? Show me my players. Then I'll show you what my offense is. He's doing a phenomenal job. Why would you throw the ball if you don't have to throw the ball more than 10, 15, or 20 times a game, don't. It's just more chance for error. And the fact that Hurts has a mechanical issue in terms of throwing the ball. Sure, he's got great receivers. That doesn't mean he's going to complete 80% of his passes or complete 80% of the passes when his receivers are open. So one thing is for sure with Kellen Moore, he knows if I run the ball every down, we're going to win. So don't ever put yourself in a position where you have to throw it, and he's done a phenomenal job. Now, if he goes somewhere where they have a quarterback that has to throw it 40 times a game, he's not going to be as effective as a coach. So I love what he's doing. Don't throw the football unless you absolutely have to. That's what this team is built on. So, I mean, this may be, last year with Kelsey, they had the best offensive line I've ever seen. Now, the center looks like a tiny little guy out there compared to the size of the line, but he's still an unbelievable player. So they got great offensive line play. Don't let the quarterback mess it up. This is why I don't like RPO. It gives the quarterback 3 chances to mess it up. Just hand the ball to Saquon and let him go.
Yeah, Saquon or John Gruden, when he was the offensive coordinator of the Eagles, he came in and he had Rodney Peete, who ended up being the starter. Randall was here, but he's running this West Coast offense, which has a lot of verbiage and it's complicated and everything else. So Rodney Peete gets the job, but he's got Charlie Gardner and Ricky Waters. So what does he do? He's got a run-heavy offense. He could have came in and said, no, we're going to throw the ball. I'm from the Bill Walsh school. I'm a West Coast guy. No, they ran the ball a lot. So like you had said, Glenn, knowing the personnel and saying like, hey, it's not about me. It's about how can we win these games? And it seems like everybody's buying into that. Jalen's buying into it. The players are buying into it. If it doesn't work and they end up losing on Sunday, it's going to be a problem. And it's all going to go on Jalen Hurts. But if they keep winning, Foles, they keep winning. Jayden Daniels, rookie. He's one win away from going to the Super Bowl as a rookie. The poise, the touch, the overall feel for the game. What impresses you about Jayden Daniels that you've seen so far?
Well, obviously the maturity, but his release. If you watch, you're going to watch two totally different quarterbacks in terms of the way they throw the football this weekend. Watch how quick the ball comes out from Daniels, and watch how slow it comes out from Hurts. So when you see Daniels has almost an Elway release, and now you're seeing, and then Hurts reminds me of Fields from the Steelers. Just Fields, he has this elongated. Now it's not because he's bad. It's because they've along the way they've changed the way these quarterbacks are coached. So it can be fixed. It's just you watch the two best young quarterbacks with the best releases, C.J. Stroud and Jayden Daniels. These two guys are just beyond their years in terms of maturity and their releases. But this kid, he's unpredictable because he can fly. He's in the 4.2, 4.3, 40 dash. So
right.
Once everything breaks down, his legs, then we're talking Lamar Jackson stuff here. So he's going to be an MVP at some point. I mean, the only reason I didn't like him coming out of the draft is because of his size. I thought he would get hurt. I thought he would get snapped, but he hasn't. But he's way above where I thought he would be. He's your rookie of the year, no doubt.
As a former NFL quarterback, and we were talking about this earlier, to me, and I've heard a lot of former players say this, they almost don't buy Jay. Like when they watch Jalen Hurts play the quarterback position, they're like, man, he's not very good. He doesn't throw a good ball. He doesn't. You had just said the release, the processing, and everything else. When you watch him as a former quarterback, how do you evaluate him as a passer? Because they're running a college offense with him. I've never seen anything like this. They're running a college offense. This is like he's back at Oklahoma.
The great thing about these young quarterbacks coming out, the college, the level of what they're playing. He's playing incredible football at a very high level in college. Bo Nick's another example. He played 6 years at a very high level, so you come out, they're more ready to play. And for some of these QBs, they don't mature till they're 28 or 30 years old. Look at Geno Smith. So, but this kid's special. C.J. Stroud's special quarterbacks, and they don't have mechanical issues, so they can throw. If this gets into a passing game, it's going to be fun. This could be a 45-40 game. Only because the receivers of the Eagles and the ability of Daniels to throw the ball and run the ball for that matter. But watching Jayden Daniels throw the ball is exciting because he knows how to do it. He's done it a lot, and give him one more receiver. McLaren's a great receiver, and they got Eckler, and they got some wide receiver. Give him one more receiver, and you're going to see this NFC East is going to be dynamic.
Yeah, it sure is. Prediction on the game. What do you think? Last week you called a close game, and it was a close game. The Eagles could have lost the game, man. Yep. What do you got this week?
Oh man, this is a toss-up. I think we're going high scoring here. I'm gonna, and this could go either way because I think the Eagles are in for a guy who can just once he takes off, you got he's the X factor. It kills you. I'm gonna give it. Geez, I hate to even say this, 35-30, Washington in an upset. Washington wins this game in an upset, and it kills me to wear my hat like this, but I don't like this game. I hate Washington. They know us. They're coming into a place they played before. It's not like Jordan Love coming into the league. This kid's been here. I don't like it. The Redskins have always been a thorn in the side. Do you remember when it was basically Carson Wentz's last breath when he threw the out route against the Redskins, and Dougie called the out route. Wentz threw it, pick six. They lose to Washington, and that was the end of the Wentz Doug Peterson era. This game scares me. I hate to say it, but Birds lose 35-30. It kills me to say that, but I'm going to be there live at Larry's again. I think we're going to be down.
Are you going to the game again?
It's Lot P. They make shirts and everything down there. Very proud. Lot P. Now, live at Larry's.
Will there be more contraband hats as well for sale? And the guy swigging in bottles at the tailgate?
let me tell you something. Those guys know with a lot of Pierce. He wasn't just the only one. There's all kinds of contraband.
Oh, I know. No, but they definitely declare it to the IRS, even though it's a cash business. They're declaring that when they
the balloon sales too.
Are there balloons down there?
Tremendous! That was to me was the most unbelievable part. The tremendous balloons that showed up late. I was like, what are those things? The balloons,
rolled out of the trunk, huh?
What are we at an '87 Grateful Dead concert?
So hold on. So Todd, we're gonna. I want to ask you about playing in the snow, but we got to get to this right here. So hang on a second, G Folks. We'll come back to you for a second after this. But let's talk about Bet Parks. Bet Parks. All right, check it out. I just had it up here. All right, because you know what's coming up this weekend. Birds, 6-point home favorite, 3 p.m. Sunday. Hosting Washington. Over-under sitting at 47. I'm looking at under. And plus, the Eagles are winning the game. +6, Washington under right now on a Thursday. Kansas City, 2-point home favorite hosting Buffalo. Over-under 47.5. A $25 wager on the Birds to win it all pays $46.25. So you bet 25 right now. $46.25 if they win it all. $25 wager on Kansas City pays $52.50. $25 wager on Buffalo pays $65. $25 wager on Washington pays $200. There's good value in that. But whether your team scores or not, there's always another win on the BetParks online casino and sportsbook app, the only app I would ever recommend. To bet sports and to play all your favorite casino games for real money. Get some skin in the game and bet sports or play blackjack, craps, poker, roulette, and hot online slots while watching the game. Make your downtime fun time. Hot online slots, double down on fourth down, or play with a live dealer right on your phone. Download the app right now. Enjoy all the action and excitement from the casino at your fingertips. New users download the app and get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. Your casino bonus must be wagered. BetParks.com for details. You must be 21 and in PA, New Jersey, or Maryland for the BetParks app. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Hey, one more time about Glad Hair Restoration by Morgenstern Medical. What makes them better than maybe some other places that you've looked at up there? Well, it's Dr. Morgenstern. It's the hair team. They've been exceptionally trained, over 30 years of experience in the industry. Hair is all they do. All right. So anybody can open up an office and buy the equipment and say, hey, we do hair restoration. Glad Hair offers decades of proven results using an innovative approach and delivered by the leaders in the industry. And I'm proof of it. You can see my before and after pictures at gladhairmcr.com, gladhairmctr.com, or my Instagram. If you go to my Instagram, John Marks Media, you can actually see I took videos and pictures before and during and then after the hair restoration process. So you could see what it looked like a day after, the day of the surgery, the day after. I mean, it's a really good resource to know exactly what you're dealing with. And they're there for you. Complimentary one-on-one consultation. It's free. They're going to pinpoint the best course of treatment. It may not be hair restoration. They may like, no, we don't think you need it right now. You might want to wait a little bit. Let's try this. Let's try to keep your hair that you have. But they're an advocate for you from the first time you call them to the last follow-up visit. You can actually speak to their hair team right now. 610-980-4000, 610-980-4000, or gladhairmctr.com, gladhairmctr.com. We're back. All right, we saw the second half of the Eagles game in a blizzard, and I wonder if Glenn Foley. Have you played in a snow game before, Glenn? And not your backyard in Cherry Hill against Weasel. Did you play in a snow game?
No, but we used to practice because we used to practice in the snow all the time because in Boston College it's a hockey school, so we didn't have a bubble. So for our bowl games, it was like practicing like it is today. 8 degrees. Tom Coughlin has the plows come out, and there's like 10-foot snow walls on the sides of our practice fields. It was brutal.
What's the worst conditions you ever played in? You ever played a game in? Was it rain,
Chicago.
Wind, heat?
No, the worst is the wind and the cold. The wind and the cold. Chicago got real bad one game. Buffalo got bad once. That's when we play for the Jets. You look, when do you play Buffalo? You want to play Buffalo early, and you want to play Miami late. So you want to play Miami in December and Buffalo in September. If you get Buffalo in December, you're in trouble, and you really don't want. You don't want Miami in September either. That's
because it's like 100 degrees down there and humid.
Oh yeah. But now New York and Jersey are still pretty humid in the summer. But
all right,
yeah.
what's your prediction on the AFC Championship game? Chiefs are now 2-point favorites in that game.
No, I like the Chiefs. I think Allen's runs over. He's been unbelievable. He really has been. Lamar had a chance at him, but this home field, the home field is going through Kansas City. So that's just Kansas City has too much. They have too many. It's not at wide receiver. It's not at the specialty. Yeah, it's defense. It's offensive line. It's everything but their wide receivers. And Kelsey's just open all the time. So there's no you don't just roll the league like the Chiefs did without having all the beef inside. And Chris Jones is just one of the most underrated players in the history of football. The guy, if they don't sign him, I don't think Patrick has last year's ring or wouldn't even be in it this year. The guy's unbelievable. So
G Foles, what lot? You're Larry's tailgate. Everybody knows Larry's tailgate. What lot will you be in?
Lot P, only because I saw the shirts they made. They have shirts and everything down there. Lot P live at Larry's, and the hot dog machine's rolling the whole time. The pizza shows up, the meatballs and the ribs showed up later. And then all the while, everyone's bringing hot dogs, hoagies and everything from everywhere. So it's in a real, and the guy's been doing it. He's been doing it for 30, 40 years now. It's crazy. Great time. Show up.
All right, man. Stay out of trouble. We'll talk next week.
All right, peace, brother.
All right, there he is, G Foles. Going to Larry's Tailgate. You know, we have a lot of sponsors, Tyler, for the show. Larry's Tailgate is one of these off-the-book sponsors. We're, and this is not payola. I'm not on radio anymore. This is part of.
Now I was going to say, you're going to get us in trouble here?
Well, it's Glenn's sponsorship is Larry's. And that was the locker room segment. Brought to you by Valley Forge, Montco, winter weekend getaways, family-friendly affordability awaiting Valley Forge in Montco, PA, 18 miles from downtown Philly. ValleyForge.org can help you discover hidden gems, endless activities, tons of places to stay in Montco. Get started planning that next getaway today, ValleyForge.org. Make it family time. Make it Montco. There you go. So he picks Washington 35-30, and he's still one of the guys that calls them Redskins. I don't know if that's because he's defiant or he's just like, some people are just like, yeah, no, I just have to call him that. I don't know.
Well, so he takes Washington to win the game, and I'm not. I'm taking the Eagles to win the game, but spoiler for tomorrow, I probably will take Washington with the points because I do think it's going to be a close game.
For sure.
But I do think the Eagles are just the better team. But the merit behind Washington staying close is very obvious, and it's very apparent. They want to get in a slugfest offensively with you because their run defense stinks. Their pass defense has been really good this year, but their run defense is awful. They want to get in an up and down, field to field, long drive after long drive, quick play after quick play. Like, that's the kind of game they want to get you in because their offense is electric and it's led by one of the best rookie quarterbacks we've seen in a long time in Jayden Daniels. But they got a good run game. Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler have done a nice job. Yeah. Losing Samuel Cosmi is a big deal for this team, though. Their interior guard, who's been awesome all year, Jalen Carter, is going to line up on top of that.
They may double team him every time.
They might have to. But that offense is good. He brought up Terry McLaurin. Zach Ertz has done a nice job in space.
Has, man.
I think over the last couple of weeks, Naomi Brown's been better. Like they've found a rhythm that works for them, and it's score. And so I do think that this is going to be a close game. But I also believe that at the end of the day, the Eagles are a better team. And I do think their defense gets the stop they need, and Saquon runs for enough yards and has enough of an effective game. That's how you're going to win this game. And that's how you've won all year. You're going to rely on your run game, rely on your defense, and that's why I think the Eagles do win this game at the end of the day.
Oh, you can just re-rack that for tomorrow. We don't even need to do predictions tomorrow.
That's great.
No,
let's just not show up tomorrow.
I generally feel the same way that you do, and we'll talk about that more tomorrow. We're going to do a Philly fun fact. It's a new segment on the program. Philly fun fact. The Detroit Lions And I'm reading from the Detroit Free Press here. The Detroit Lions have had a long list of assistants that got away and had major success elsewhere. I was not aware of that. But Bill Belichick was a Lions assistant coach in 1976 and 1977. You can't exactly blame Detroit for him not being the head coach later.
Yeah, who would have known 23 years later he'd be winning Super Bowls?
So Ben Johnson being hired away as a new head coach. Who was the last Lions assistant or coordinator to be hired as a head coach? So in other words, go directly from the Lions to another team.
Oh, wow.
So, Tyler, I'm going to put you on the clock here. We need Jeopardy music or something, but we don't. Who was president the last time a Detroit Lions assistant or coordinator was named the head coach of another team?
Oh, man. I'm either going to way overshoot or be wrong. I'm going to go the president the last time that happened was, let's go Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan, which is probably what I would have selected.
Just because 8-year sample size, far enough away.
80 or I guess it was
I'm gonna go Ronald Reagan. Two-term president. Gives me a pretty good window.
81 he was inaugurated. Incorrect.
Okay.
Incorrect. Lower. I'll give you a hint.
Lower. Okay, let's go Gerald Ford.
Gerald Ford, incorrect. Lower.
Lower. Should I go Richard Nixon?
Incorrect. Lower.
Should I go Dwight Eisenhower?
Higher.
Okay, so I'm going JFK.
John F. Kennedy administration. You have to go all the way back to 1961, 1962, when Don Shula took the job with the Baltimore Colts, not even the Dolphins. When he became the Colts coach on January 9th, 1963, he was the defensive coordinator of the Lions.
Jeez. You're talking 60 years.
I mean, even if, listen, we know the Lions haven't had playoff success, and that was well documented. Even at some point, you still get a guy that's wow, the team isn't necessarily winning 12 games, but that's he's a sharp. Nope.
So that they go from that time frame to losing both in 1 year.
62 years.
And they lose both their offensive and defensive coordinator to be head coaches.
And they don't win a playoff game.
And they don't win a single playoff game.
And Jared Goff's never going to go to a Super Bowl. Can we all agree on that?
Yeah,
that was your shot.
Yeah, that was your chance.
That was your chance,
you
man.
Had the bye, had the home game, had home field advantage. That was
listen, and you bleeped it away, Jared.
It's hard to win in the playoffs, and that's brings us back to the beginning of the conversation we had this morning.
And maybe I'm getting soft in my old age. I felt bad for the Cowboys yesterday. I have family in Detroit.
I threw up in my mouth a little
Cowboys fans in Dallas. Sorry. I have family in Detroit. Not against the Eagles, but I like the Lions actually having a football team again.
Yeah, listen, I think that
it's nice.
I think for Sands against an Eagles game that they would maybe potentially play it. It's a feel-good story to see Lions fans. Lions fans haven't had a whole lot to cheer about. And listen, if you ever feel bad about your city's sports over the 3 or 4 teams that you have, it could be Cleveland, it could be Detroit.
First two to come to mind.
Those are the two that you always think about. There's been some stretches of really bad Detroit sports. There's been some stretches of really bad Cleveland sports. So if you're thinking about, hey, man, our city's not doing very well this year or over this stretch, think about that. That's how bad it can get worse.
Pinch yourself as Eagles fans, man. I didn't grow up. I never thought this team would win a Super Bowl. Look at them right now. All right, so I teased this earlier in the show. This is courtesy of Brian Windhorst. And we actually, Tyler, I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before, but we had said, it's time to shut Joel Embiid down. Who cares? He's obviously, and I've been saying this before the season started. Oh my God. I just want to go back into the Twitter replies to the video that I put out and tweeted every single one of them with a middle finger. Screw you. I wasn't saying this because I enjoy it. I'm saying this because Joel Embiid has a chronically bad freaking knee, and he's never going to be healthy. All right? And it doesn't make me happy to say that. It's just, I'm finally no. He didn't injure his knee. This is what the knee's going to be. So this is from Brian Windhorst. The team issued, I'm reading from something here. It says the team issued an update to formally rule Embiid out for a small stretch rather than continuing to carry the day-to-day label for the star center. But ESPN's Brian Windhorst made it clear there is no re-injury in play. Quote, because the Sixers have to be so careful with how they announce the injuries with Joel. It's very delicate with him because there's been so many different rounds of it that can be desensitizing. Brian Windhorst said this on the Hoop Collective. So we had Keith Pompey on way back when, at the beginning of the season, when he wasn't starting. And he had said more or less the same thing, to where this isn't the 76ers not wanting to release information. Everything is being orchestrated by Joel Embiid in his camp. Brian Windhorst says the same thing here. They have to be careful because Joel's very delicate with them. You know what? Like, I'm freaking done. I'm done with it. I'm so done with it. All right, more from Windhorst. I think people are losing track of the fact that he keeps missing games with this knee swelling, and they are not announcing an injury. He hasn't gotten hurt. His knee is just broken right now. Everybody, realize this. He's not. He's never going to be healthy. He's never going to be healthy. On top of having all the other injuries that pop up, from the foot to the broken face bone, the sinus bone cavity or whatever, you have a chronic knee condition for a guy that's 7'2". It's over. It's over. It's time to figure out where to go from here so we don't have to sit through another 10 years of hell. And Daryl Morey, just leave. Goodbye. I've had it. You took your shot. That you haven't improved the team. You can tell us all the reasons why you haven't improved your team. You brought in a couple of coaches. You haven't gotten past the second round of the playoffs. Frankly, I thought much better after losing with Brett Brown as a head coach with any of these other guys or any of these other years. No, you've went backwards since you've taken over the team. You've went backwards. Paul George, really? Now you're maxing him out? You're going to be waiting to trade that contract for other bad contracts, or because he's in the final year of a contract and now he can be used to clear cap space, or you're just hanging on to him so you can clear cap space, and hopefully you're going to be long gone by then. Daryl Morey has been a failure in Philadelphia, not all because of his own doing. Tyrese Maxey was a great draft pick. McCain seems like he's going to be a great draft pick. He's not a total stooge. He was brought in to put this team over the hump and to win a championship, and he has failed. He hasn't even made improvement. So, lots of fun being a 76er fan these days, Tyler Zuli. One other thing before we get it.
It's one of those things where I apathy, I think, has set in at this point with the team. And I understand that they're riddled with injuries right now, and so it doesn't help. It doesn't help the cause of being a Sixers fan when your team is riddled by injuries. But the way that they played against Denver, again, shorthanded, I understand that, but the way that they played against Denver made me feel like they've checked out as a team. They've checked out. They got out rebounded by 30. They give up 40 points or more in the first three quarters. It just feels to me like they have checked out as a unit, and they're almost have already turned their attention to 2026 and 2025, 2026. And I don't know how you do that in January of the season. But, we talked early in the year oh, wow, you beat Boston. You had this little mini run that kind of got you back into the playoff conversation. And since then, they've been lifeless at times. You lose to New Orleans in a bad fashion. You lose to Denver the way that you did. Now, listen, you're the worst team of the teams that you're going up against some nights. You're shorthanded. I get all that. But apathy is set in for the team. Why shouldn't it set in for me?
Oh, no, you should already. Anybody that's watching 76ers games at this point, you must be a real diehard fan. I don't need to. Honestly, if they had more guys get injured, if Paul George was out, I may tune in. And by the way, shout out to everybody watching on TV. To watch the rest of the program, go to allphly.com. But so you can figure things out about the future. Justin Edwards looks like he's a part of the rotation. Yabusele, they're wasting him because he's a good bench guy. He's good.
I'll be honest with you. They should trade Yabusele. So, and I know they have to match money because they're over the cap and whatnot, but you should get something for him, because if I were him, I wouldn't re-sign here.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, it's you are, unless you're paying him more than anybody in the future. Right now, there's what is the point? They're going to come back out next year. They're going to try to do this again. They're going to reheat the soup. It's not going to work. They're going to get people they get all juiced up because they're fans, and that's what they want. And you're always going to believe, because of the talent of Joel Embiid, that they have a chance. The only chance that they have is the actual chance. That's the only thing, is the actual chance that like anything can happen, because that's why they play the games. But
so to me, I think when you think about the trade pieces, because that's where we're at now, we're talking about.
The trade deadline's coming up, and the veterans, like you had said, there's an effort issue right now because guys are waiting to see whether they're traded or not.
You trade Kelly Oubre. You think about trading Kelly Oubre too. Like he's got a player option next year. I would. It's for like $8.5 million. Honestly, he may be able to get more than that. He may opt out.
He's pretty good.
And the thing is, they're going to have the bird rights to him next year, so they'll have that exclusive, negotiating time frame.
I don't even care. I guess if I'm running the Sixers and I have to care, now I'm asking myself, what is the plan for next year? If you're running it back and you're like, do you go after a veteran on a 1-year contract? Is he going to command a multi-year contract, which you don't want to do? I mean, at this point, it's just a total disaster. And I'm just saying this. God forbid Washington wins this game on Sunday and Josh Harris is at Lincoln Financial Field and he's holding up the NFC Championship trophy, or Terry Bradshaw's interviewing him on the field. Just sell the team on the spot. You should have a bidder that's ready to go, because whether it's fair or not, it's not going to matter. There will be hell to pay.
At least it'll give us something to celebrate. Yeah, at least he sold the Sixers. That counts for something.
It would be crazy. All right, shout out to everybody that tuned in this morning on YouTube, our live viewers, our mad chatters that are in the chat, getting at it, going after it every morning. Appreciate it. Thanks for listening. Subscribe, like. It's how we grow. Tyler was telling me before we went on, the subscribers that we're getting week after week after week is very impressive. The views that we're getting week after week after week as a network is very impressive. Subscribe, like. Get the word out. I don't feel like there's enough people that know about PHLY and what we're doing over here. Get the word out. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor. When someone says, hey, what's Johnny Marks doing these days? I heard he's doing some podcast. Yeah, Ant and me and everybody else doing live shows daily. So tell your friend. Audio podcast. And like, I'm telling you, like, that I'm an audio person. That's my first love. So appreciate you listening on the podcast. Always remember, if you're watching on YouTube, you can always download and listen to the podcast daily. Subscribe, like, comment. 5-star reviews are always appreciated. Reach out to me at John, Jon Marks, Marks Media, at John Marks Media. My DMs are open. Slide into them. We'll talk to you tomorrow on a Football Friday. See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.